Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christian. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day, good night. Wherever you are, whenever you are seeing this, I hope you are good. So guys, today's video is going to be all about overthinking and how to stop overthinking in its tracks by thinking these 8 thoughts. So I definitely recommend you guys writing these down, even screen recording the parts that, speak to you or what have you. But I want you guys to be able to combat overthinking. I think a lot of us have been overwhelmed with a lot of thoughts recently, just thinking about our goals, our plans, what we want to do, what we want to leave behind, what we want to take with us, what we want from life, who we want to become. It's normal to get overwhelmed. It's normal to feel like, okay, I've been thinking about these things and I've been planning. Now it's time to execute. And I know I always talk about overthinking, but we're going to be talking about 8 thoughts that you can think to combat your overthinking. So yes, let's get right into it. As always, you guys can shop with me, book with me, connect with me, book private sessions, learn how to read tarot with the self-led tarot course, book a 4-week or 8-week mentorship with me. And yeah, get into everything that I do, everything connected with me down below in the description box. I'm super excited to connect with you guys as always. You guys can book a full releasing session, a mini releasing session, whatever you feel you need to get you together as we step into this next chapter. So always check the link in the description boxes to get in touch with me and figure out how you can tap in with all of my links and then some. So let's go ahead and get into these 8 thoughts, and we're going to start with number 1. I have my notes right here, so let's get into it. So the first thought is think of past victories and what you've overcome. So this is a really great way to, 1, focus on gratitude and shift your mind a little bit, and 2, remind yourself that there's really nothing to worry about. That's the whole point of all of these things on the list. When you're in a space of overthinking, you have to calm your mind down, you have to calm your spirit down, you might even have to calm your nervous system down. You might be on the brink of a panic attack, so it's really important to think about past victories, think about what you overcome, and just kind of surround yourself in some thoughts of gratitude, bring your mind to a space of gratitude, and just remember that you can do hard things. Remember what you have accomplished, remember the feats that you thought were too big, too dangerous, too scary, too risky, and you overcame them. Think about even the last time that you were in a space feeling like this and you made it through. I think it's really powerful when you're in those moments of overthinking to just remember, I've done this before and I succeeded, so I'm going to succeed now. So that's the first thing. Think about past victories and how you overcame. That's a great time to just reflect on your strengths, your weaknesses, what you've learned, and, just overall how you've handled moments like this in the past. The second thought is think of what you learned from past moments of confusion. So this is kind of piggybacking off of that first thought, but think of what you learned from past moments of confusion. If you've learned specifically that you have a problem with procrastination, if you learn you have an issue with budgeting, if you learn you have this insecurity, if you learn you get scared around this, thing, like if money is a problem for you, or if putting yourself out there is a problem for you, or if networking is a problem for you, or starting over is a problem for you, like think about the things that you tapped into and the discoveries that you've made when you've been in these spaces of confusion. Because confusion is not just confusion for no point. Confusion brings you to a point where you're able to navigate beyond that confusion. You're able to see something outside of that confusion, and that's going to be great to tap into when you're in that space of overthinking. Also, the things that helped you before are probably things that you can do right now in the present moment. So if there are certain things that you've learned about yourself that you need in a moment of overthinking, give yourself a chance to think about that. And I think the biggest problem with overthinking or being in a space of heightened stress, we don't have control over our mind. We're not able to say, wait, let me stop thinking this. Wait, let me redirect my thoughts. Wait, I'm getting too deep into this fear right now. Our mind just goes and goes and goes, and our thoughts just go and go and go. And we end up in a space where we really second guess ourselves, we really question ourselves, and we don't know what to think because we've gotten so deep in that hole. So all of these thoughts give you the opportunity to stop what you're thinking and turn your direction to something else. It just gives you a chance to stop and say, hey, wait, let me switch my perspective. Let me think about this in a way that's going to serve me. Let me think about this in a way that's going to help me get to where I need to go. So think about the lessons that you've learned from past moments of confusion, because remember, confusion doesn't just happen for anything. A lot of times we experience confusion because we really just need to trust our intuition and trust God. Confusion just means that you don't know what's going on. It doesn't mean that things are about to blow up in flames. It doesn't mean that it's all going to hell in a handbasket. It just means that you don't know what's going on. And who cares if you know what's going on or not, because you don't ever know what's going on. We never know what's going on. We never know what's going on. Even when you think you know what's going on, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. Like, You could get some news by the end that you hear this video. You might get some good news or some bad news. You might wake up tomorrow and have a great day or a bad day. You might cry or laugh before you go to sleep tonight. You don't know what you're going to experience. So we can't ever be super prepared for anything that we step into. No matter, even if we try to check all the boxes, there's always something unexpected where we're going to feel like we're not prepared for it. So confusion doesn't have to be a point of a dead end. It doesn't have to be a point where you're not able to move forward. Confusion is a part of the process. Confusion is the name of the game. So you want to make sure that you're able to understand your relationship to confusion and how you feel in those points of confusion. And you want to use those moments to help you learn. And some of us maybe haven't done that. Some of us just feel confused until God works everything out and then we feel better again. And we don't really give ourselves a chance to kind of do that work in the actual moment of the confusion. We just kind of brush past it and get into something else. This is going to be a great time for you guys to exercise thinking about those past victories, thinking about the lessons you learned, and understanding a little bit more about your confusion. Because again, it's a part of the process, and us not knowing what's going on does not mean that everything is, about to just fall apart. Us not knowing the next step doesn't mean that. Sometimes we know the next step and things fall apart anyway. So there's no perfect way to be in a space where you know what you need, you're able to align with the things that you need, and everything just falls into place without the care in the world. There's always going to be something that comes up, and you do not want to allow that something to be, a moment that breaks you down and a moment that just makes you feel like it's no tomorrow. We know how we get when we overthink and when we be overwhelmed. So you want to make sure you're allowing yourself to always find hope in those moments. All right, the third thing is focus on the facts. Are you doing enough? Focus on the facts. Are you doing enough? Now, the reason this is an important thought is because if you're overthinking about something, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? You're thinking about the possibilities. You're thinking about everything you have to achieve to make this happen. You're thinking about all of the things that are encompassing whatever it is that is a source of your overthinking in this moment. Could you be doing more? Are you prepared? Are you slacking? Have you done everything that you can do? Because sometimes we overthink because we've been lazy. Sometimes we overthink because we've been afraid, so we haven't done anything. We've been procrastinating. We've been trying to avoid it. We've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So sometimes overthinking can serve as an opportunity for us to figure out how we can better move forward, what we need to do, what we need to be better at, what we need to be more time efficient in, what we need to be more energy efficient. Sometimes we waste our energy, and then we get to a point where we're like, oh my God, I don't even have any energy for myself. I don't even have any energy to figure out what's going on with me. That's a point to ask yourself, am I doing enough? Am I doing all that I can? Not just for everybody, but myself. Because the things that we need in this life to be cohesive and feel like everything is aligning is not just about you. It's also about how you interact with the world around you and the things around you. So it's really important to make sure that you're just able to tap into what you need and show up for yourself in a way that you feel you've done what you can. Of course you're going to feel overwhelmed if you haven't been preparing, if you haven't been thinking, if you haven't been releasing, if you haven't been listening to your intuition, if you've just been trying to distract yourself and ignore the issues. Of course you're going to be in a space where you feel overwhelmed. And that could be a moment to pivot and say, how can I better handle stress in the moment, rather than letting it pile up and get to a point where I feel powerless against it? How can I combat that? How can I fight against that? How can I make sure that that is not my reality? We all have the opportunity to shift that and feel differently in that. So give yourself the chance to operate differently in that space. Give yourself the chance to feel differently about where you're going and how you're going to be navigating. Think about if you're doing enough. Are there things where you should be doing a little bit more? Focus on the facts. And if you can know that you've done everything that you can do, you've called everybody you can call, you connected to everyone you can connect to, you release everything you can release. If you know you've done everything that you can and that you are all caught up on everything, on your self-care, on the work that you need to do, on the research you need to do, if you know you're totally together with everything you need to do, then you can relax and say, you know what, maybe I'm just overthinking because I've been in a space of stress for a while. Maybe I'm just overthinking because there's a lot at stake right now. But sometimes we have to ask ourselves, well, can I be doing more? And if you can be doing more, then approach the situation with peace, with kindness, with grace, with patience. Don't be super uber hard on yourself in these moments, because that's what makes you just distract yourself from the feeling and move forward. And then it keeps coming back to haunt you. Like we've been saying, what you don't deal with gets scarier and scarier until you're able to face it. So that is the third thing. The fourth thing to think about, which really should be the first and only thing, the fourth thought is that God is in control. The reason this is so important and pivotal and powerful is because it's the universal truth that God is in control. that God is in control, that source energy is in control, that it really don't matter whether you get it or not. It really don't matter if you know what's next or not. It really doesn't matter if you have the resources or not. It really doesn't matter, because God can change all of that for you tomorrow, literally. And this might not be like a super churchy or Christiany reference, but in Glorilla's song Tomorrow, where she say, I don't care about no credit score, I might be rich tomorrow. That is some true tea. Like, so many times we're in situations and in 24 hours, our life completely changes. Like, I'm reading The Secret right now in the book club. If you want to tap in Enlighten Reads book club, the information is in the description box. Shameless plug, but my plug, so I can plug. And in The Secret, there is talk of how we can visualize, of course, the law of attraction, manifesting and bringing things to us. And there was someone who didn't have a job, didn't have a car, didn't have any money, and they ended up getting some money, having someone give them a car, having someone give them a job and a place to stay, all within 24 hours. And those things just happened back to back to back to back to back. They weren't even expecting it, but all of those things fell into place because they were able to shift their mindset. So I said that to say, you don't know what is going to unfold for you or what's going to happen for you. Don't worry stressing. Don't worry trying to figure it out. Don't worry trying to know all the answers. It's not for you to know. God is in control. And that is something that should give us so much peace, because we cannot be in control of our lives. If we were left to be in control of our lives and say what we do and what we don't do, honey, we will be gone. We would not know what to do. God knows who you're supposed to be. God knows your plan. God knows your purpose. There is something greater than you that is pulling the strings, and all you have to do is keep showing up for the plate. All you have to do is keep showing up for the plate, and God is literally going to have the cue cards telling you what to do. So we just get worried as humans because we want to know everything before we step into it, and it's scared and it's uncomfortable. And like I've been saying, we think that feeling bad means that it is bad. When in reality, of course, things that are scary or uncomfortable or unfamiliar are going to feel not so good within us. But the more you do it, the better it feels. People that skydive for the first time are probably very scared. People that skydive every day as instructors, they don't get afraid anymore. It's the same thing as everything in your life. The first time you try to trust God and step out on faith and take a risk, it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary. You're going to have doubt every step of the way. You're going to be like, I don't know if I'm doing this. Lord, please help me. And then it's going to work out. You're going to be like, wow, okay. God might not be too bad. This might not be too bad, this faith thing. And then you might trust a little bit more next time and a little bit more next time until it becomes your norm. So don't feel like you're supposed to just, it's hard to be faithful. It's hard to keep the faith. It's hard to trust what you cannot see and believe in what you cannot see. But that's the name of the game, you know, and you have an opportunity every day to choose to trust that God is in control. So remember that and let that give you some peace, okay? And I've been recommending to a lot of people to get in touch with the Psalms and read the 23rd Psalm if you ever just need to feel like God got you no matter what. You know, you don't have to fear any evil because God is with you no matter what. So just trust that God is in control. That is definitely a thought that will calm you in moments of overthinking. Okay, the next one. Recognize why you're overthinking. So your fears and your insecurities, those specific things, kind of similar to the second one, thinking about what you've learned in past moments. Recognize why you're overthinking. So specific fears and insecurities that you have. If you have a fear of meeting new people, if you have a fear of not spending your money correctly, if you have a fear of poverty, if you have a fear of anything, you know, when you're in spaces where your fears are triggered, where your insecurities are triggered, where your doubts are triggered, and you already know what those things are, ask yourself, what are you afraid of? When do you doubt yourself? When do you question yourself? What brings you the most anxiety? You already know what those triggers are. So a lot of times you're in spaces of overthinking because you're obviously triggered by a big responsibility or a big task or a lot being at stake or what have you. So give yourself some time in that moment to say, you know what? How have I seen this before? Is this a fear? Is this an issue for me? And how can I tend to this issue? Because that's going to look different for everybody. If you have an insecurity, you want to remind yourself that you probably already possess what you're insecure about. Or you want to tell yourself that you can get to the point that you want to get to where you can achieve those things. If you don't like anything about yourself, no matter what it is, physically or mentally, you can either change it or you can accept it. So there is peace in that you can change it or accept it, and you have to make the decision. If it bothers you that much, then change it. And then you can find peace in the fact that you're working to be better and you're working to do better. You know, sometimes we want peace, or we say we're not going to get any peace until we get to the finish line, but sometimes you have to have peace in the process. If not all the time, Find peace in the process. Don't feel like it has to be finished for you to have peace in it. So remember, ask yourself why you're overthinking. Why are you stressing? Why are you dealing with fear? Because it's a chance that it's something that you experience fear of, maybe before in the past. It's a chance that it's an issue for you. So yeah, it's always powerful to know what's a problem for you, because before you step into those situations, you can be reading your Bible, you can be praying, you can be listening to your sound bowls, you can be listening to your affirmations and doing your meditation and doing your yoga and eating your fruit and getting your sun. You can make sure that when you're stepping into these new things, you're already taking care of yourself. Like if you have a big insecurity when it comes to doing new things and stepping out on faith, and you're used to having people kind of like encourage you, and without their encouragement you don't do it. If you're in a new space now where you're having to encourage yourself, make sure you're encouraging yourself OD. Make sure you're encouraging yourself every chance that you get. So when you're in that space where you need encouragement, you've already been working on it, and it's going to be easier for you to call on that. It's not going to be easy, but it'll be easier for you to call on that. And over time, it will be easy. It will be like second nature. So yes, the next one, don't let it linger. Be patient, but don't force it. So don't let it linger, be patient, and don't force it. I guess that's a couple, but it's one. So the first part, don't let it linger. You don't want to be in a space of overthinking for days and days and days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. If you have to, give yourself 48 hours to go crazy, to stress, to cry, to be confused, to think it's not going to work out. And I really want to say 24 hours, but give yourself a little leeway, because we have to leave space for everything in our lives. We need to cry, we need to release, we need to be angry, we need to be frustrated. So give yourself 48 hours to overthink and go crazy about it. Give yourself 48 hours to think about all the problems, all the issues, all the possible things that could go wrong. Give yourself time to do that, but don't stay there forever. Don't let that become your norm. And that's it. Don't linger there. Don't stay there forever. Give yourself a chance to get into these thoughts, get into the gratitude, get into what you've learned from past situations, get into the fact that God is in control. Give yourself time to feel what you feel, but don't let it be forever. Eventually get back into the groove and give yourself a time frame. You're in control of your mind. You're in control of your energy. If you say from here on out, I'm not letting myself overthink about something for more than 48 hours, then that's going to be your new norm. So speak it, claim it, give yourself that time frame, feel how you feel in that time frame, and then move forward. Next, be patient. You got to give yourself some time. That's why I said 48 hours. You don't want to feel like you're wrong for overthinking. You don't want to feel bad about it. You don't want to feel like it doesn't deserve a place in your mind, because we're human, and we're human for a reason. And there's things that we can learn in our humanity. There's things that we can learn from being uncomfortable. I think the biggest thing that we learn is that it's okay. It's not something that you have to brush past immediately. Like you have to immediately be done with it. You can let yourself feel like that for 2 days. You can let yourself feel like that for 2 days, because your fear is real. Everything could go wrong. We don't know. Yes, everything could go wrong, and you might write a best-selling book about it and become a billionaire, but we don't know that at the moment. So you could be in a space where there are problems ahead for you. Most of the time, there are problems ahead for us. I think it's normal that we feel that, because we know what's going to come when we step into these new spaces. So we know that. But you want to give yourself time to feel that and be patient in that, because that's very, very valid. It's real. It's real for you to feel that way. So you want to let yourself feel that way. Be patient. Give yourself those 48 hours. You don't want to condemn yourself or make yourself feel like, well, I shouldn't do it then. Give yourself time to feel that way and validate those feelings. And then, of course, don't force it. So you don't want to just force yourself to get past it. Like, oh, I need to be done with this. I need to be over it. You don't need to be anything. You can give yourself as much time as you need to process your emotions, because they're your emotions. So I said 48 hours. I think that's enough time for you to be human, but to not kind of start to punish yourself with your thoughts. So 48 hours, I think that's a good amount of time. Give yourself that time. If you feel like you need another day, then give yourself one more day. If you feel you really, really need it, but no more than 72 hours. Seriously, guys, it's so easy to get in a rut. And sometimes you're going to be in a rut where you can't control it. Sometimes you might be in a moment of grief, or something might catch you off guard. This isn't about how to deal with the worst of the worst that we experience in life, like grief and loss and death and abuse. This is not about how to deal with that. Those moments are going to be what those moments are, because we cannot control how those moments are going to affect us. This is about in our day-to-day life. Some of us have crippling, overwhelming anxiety in our day-to-day life about starting a business, or about, blocking an ex, or about, moving out of your hometown. Even that could be something that's so scary, but people do it every day. So these things are about how to deal with these moments on an everyday basis when you're coming up against overthinking and you're ready to, deal with it. And of course, if you dealt with certain abuse, you're going to come to a point where you're ready to do this work. But do not force yourself in super, traumatic moments to do this type of work. Let yourself feel human. Even if it's about a job interview, let yourself feel human for a couple of days and then get into it. But always give yourself an opportunity to get into it. Okay, let's get into the seventh one. Kind of what we just were talking about. It's normal, and don't see it as a bad sign. So a lot of times we think that overthinking is a sign of bad juju, or this is bad karma, I need to get out of this. Everybody comes up against a lot of obstacles. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your journey. It doesn't mean that you should stop what you're doing. Don't stop what you're doing unless God tells you this isn't for you anymore. And if God wants you to stop, you'll know it. If God wants you to stop or persevere, you will know the difference. You will know the difference. So connecting with God, prayer, all of that is going to be really, really key in all of this, in life in general, because you have to let that voice lead you. You have to let that voice lead you and guide you. And you don't want to feel bad in moments of stress, and you don't want to doubt yourself in moments of stress. You don't want to think that this is happening because God is punishing me. God doesn't want to punish us. God doesn't want to make us lonely or make us afraid or put our back against the wall. So we always will have an opportunity to turn those situations into something else. It's just about doing it on our human timing. But don't feel bad about it, because it's something that everybody experiences. And you're valid in that experience. Even though it feels hard and painful, you're valid in that experience, okay? So don't let yourself feel bad about it. It's normal. It's a part of the process. Everybody overthinks about everything. I do it too. But this is what I also do. I remind myself that God is in control. I take deep breaths. I think about moments where I was afraid in the past, moments where I was more broke, more alone. Now at least I have my husband. At least I have friends that I know I can call no matter what. At least I have a better relationship with my family. Like, yes, I'm still going to come up against obstacles, but I am in a good position. I'm in a position to handle those obstacles. And no matter what position you are, no matter where you're living, no matter if you're single, if you have friends, no matter what position you're in a position to handle your obstacles. That's why they're yours, baby doll, because you can handle them. So trust that you can handle them. There's nothing wrong with what you're experiencing. There's nothing wrong with your reality. It's your reality because you can handle it. And you're going to come out on top. So start having that mindset. And the last thing is outside confirmation and support. Get outside confirmation and support. It's always good to just talk to your support system and say, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm overthinking about this. I need you to remind me that I'm on the right track. I need you to remind me that I'm doing the right things. I listed this as an 8th thing to do because you want to get yourself together first. Yes, of course, you want to be able to go to people in a space of crisis. But you also want to be able to get yourself to a point where people can help you, and that's very important. If you're not at a point where someone can help you, there's not really much that people can do. You're really just transferring what you're feeling onto them. So get yourself to a point where people can help you, and then rely on your community. Let them know, hey guys, I'm trying to push forward. I know that I can do it, but I just need some encouragement. This is why it's great to join spiritual group chats. This is why it's great to be in online communities. This is why it's great to just have friends and have people that you can connect with. Community is really, really powerful and really, really amazing. And sometimes we just need that pat on the back. We just need that push forward that we're doing the right thing, and there is nothing wrong with that. So find solace and peace in community, and allow the people around you to support you after you have done the work to support yourself. But yes, I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys enjoy this conversation about overthinking and 8 things that you can think to help you guide your thoughts away from overthinking and bring you back to a moment of peace in those spaces. If you guys want to book a session with me, a releasing session, a regular reading, a business reboot, if you want to do an hour business consultation to get your business together, if you want to do a mentorship for 4 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever you want to get into, check the link down below in the description box. You can look into the book club, the podcast, the online community, shop with me at Pixie Apothecary, everything and then some down below. But yes, I appreciate y'all. I thank you guys for being here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys. Bless.